So this is RSR number 3. Okay, so the aim of the first RSR was to show the importance of flat ground skills and how important they are to training. And although it feels when you're doing a flat session that you're not on the track and you should be on the track, how important that actually is, and that is kind of like your foundation, your base, or really the most important thing to actually be able to control your bike, feel happy on your bike, and have decent skills before you go onto the track. So that was the whole point of RSR 1, was to make you aware of that and hopefully try and encourage you guys to do more stuff at home or in the street or the park, just to get the feel of your bikes. Then RSR 2 was taking those skills that we worked on to the track. So it's the same sort of principles, the same body movements, the same where you put your head, how you visualise stuff when you're doing the flat skills to the track. We had a good session with the RSR 2, and hopefully we're going to have a really great session today. So RSR 3 is now about race day, about preparation, also about, so most of RSR 2 was doing stuff singly on the track. We did do a bit of group stuff, but it was mainly about you getting the skills on your own. Today is going to be about doing stuff in a group, where you position yourself, how you think about the race in front of you, how we don't kind of go headless chicken and just in the very first corner try and go from 8th to 1st, whereas it might be better to take 2 people and then try and overtake somebody on the next corner. So it's about thinking about what you do at a race, but it's also about race preparation, and race preparation covers a massive amount of various things, from how you eat, how you sleep coming up to a race, if your bike's clean, if you've packed your bag properly, if you've got the stuff you need, if you've warmed up properly, if you've cooled down, if you're racing 2 days, if you cool down properly on Saturday, so you're going to be as efficient as possible on the Sunday race. So there's absolutely tons and tons of stuff that goes into race preparation, and that's basically what today's about. So we're just going to have like a 15-20 minute presentation. This again is something that the apprentices have done, because I think packing a kit bag is so important, and we'll talk through the reasons for that in a minute. So we're not going to actually go into groups for this, but I'd like you guys to put your hands up, have a look at this bag, and tell me what you think's wrong with the picture. Anybody want to start us off? Anybody not like bananas? First, everything's hanging out, so it could get lost, could drop on the floor between the car park and the track. How many people have lost stuff somewhere between leaving home and actually getting to the race? It's quite common. Also, yeah, stuff like the food can get contaminated. You've got a smelly pair of trainers here, as well as it falling out on the ground and landing in a puddle. You've got stuff that could be dirty that's mixing with the food. Anything else? Any other things you can think about if that was your bag at a race? How do you know where everything is? How do you know if you remembered everything? If it's all sort of bundled in like that, you can't tell till you get there and you go to look for that item that you realise you haven't got it at all. Also, another thing is, we don't know what's at the bottom of that bag. You could have like these heavy shoes squashing some food that's underneath. So it's important to have it, you know how your bag is packed and what's in there. So if you're organised, your bag's organised, you don't forget anything, which you don't want to be, coming up to your first moto or say it's a rainy day, you go to your bag, pick your bear gloves up, and you haven't got any. And then you go to the shop and they've only got one size too big or one size too small, or you go to the track and it's got a lot steeper starter and you fall, you haven't brought any spare chain rings. You go and buy a chain ring, you put it on your bike, and then the bolts are too long or too short. This is all things that are going to give you more stress, and we've sort of said in RSR 1 and RSR 2, the whole point of what we're trying to do, although these are little things that might seem totally irrelevant to you, we're trying to make you better racers. And in BMX, because it's a sprint, every little inch counts. If you can get to a track a lot more relaxed, then all you've got to do is focus on getting from the start to the finish as smoothly as possible. If you're worried about this, worried about that, running around like mad, trying to sort something out that you've forgotten, how can your brain be in the right place when you get onto the gate? And that's what we're trying to eliminate. We're trying to make things a lot easier and a lot smoother. Obviously, the equipment doesn't get damaged. Like I said, you can guarantee if there's no sort of system or order, the stuff at the bottom is going to get squashed and broken. Food and drinks, best to put in a separate bag, or even better still, a small cool box, especially when it gets hot. Just keep it away from your greasy stuff. You don't want to be getting ill. And also, if you've got a list, you don't end up carrying around unnecessary equipment, because you might take different equipment to a national race than you might do to a regional race or a winter race to a summer race. If you don't have a list and Some of the riders have different colours depending on what the race is, or two different lists. What you don't want to be doing on a summer's day is loading around a winter coat, 3 pairs of goggles, loads and loads of spares if it's not necessary. What I did with the ODAs, and I suggest that you guys do it, and if anybody wants to bring a list to the Brits to show me, or another race, I'll be very impressed. What I've done with the apprentices is they've written a list. Now the list takes some time to do, and it kind of evolves because you start thinking of more and more things, but that's the whole point. Once you're happy with your list, get it laminated, and we normally have a copy in the bag and a copy that you have with you to check everything off, to make sure when you get to race day you've got the right things. When would the best day be? So imagine you just say it's just a regional, it's not a national, you're racing on a Sunday. When's the best time to check your list and pack your bag? See, normally everybody says, oh, that morning or the day before. Give yourself a Thursday or Friday. Then if you go to put your spare kit in the bag and it's in the wash, you've still got time to sort it out. Or if you remember, oh yeah, last week I used my spare chainring bolts, I've still got time to go to the shop. So give yourself a couple of days just to get all those bits and pieces that you may need. Again, it's saving you a lot of stress when you're actually at the track. And there's always going to be things that you do forget, but the whole point is like I said, is to eliminate that stress and make life a lot easier. What we're going to do now is we're going to use this whiteboard, which is handy, and we're going to write some things that go into our kit bag. So normally it's best to put them in columns. So let's say food and drink, clothing, personal, equipment, and other. So the purpose of this is just to sort of jog your memories and make you think about what actually does go in your bag. And also, if you can all get in the habit of doing this yourself, then when you get to the race and you haven't got a drink, you can't blame it on your mum and dad. The more athletes take, and we mentioned this in the RSR one, the more athletes take control of the situation and organise stuff themselves, the better athlete you're going to be, the more you rely on everybody else. Yes, coaches are there to help you, parents are there to get you there and kind of look after you, but the more you can take control of stuff yourself, the better you'll feel about yourself and the more organised you'll be. What it does, it actually makes you think more about stuff. And if you're starting to think more about what you take to a race, you can start thinking more about what you do at a race. And this is the whole point, is just to get you, rather than when you're young, when you're sort of 7 or 8, your parents take you there, they get your motor sheets, get your motor numbers, tell you where to go, they collect you from the line, they feed you, do everything else, which is great. But you guys are all at the age now that you need to, you're young adults, you need to start taking control, which will actually help sort of the long run. So, hands up if some people give us some things to put underneath these different subjects. What is in your kit bags? Go on, Ren.
Water.
Water, really important one. Also important, keep it out of the sun. I read an article a couple of weeks ago about sort of water being in hot cars and stuff can get contaminated pretty quick. So water's very, very important, but keep it cool and out of the sun. Fruit. Yep. Why fruit and not a packet of crisps? Cool, and it's a good energy source, and it's a fast energy source as well.
Natural sugars.
Yes, natural sugars, which is obviously a lot better than other types of sugars as well. Tools, yes, that goes under equipment. Now this is another workshop that I do with the apprentices. Because everybody's bike's different, it's really good to have your own tool list, to actually stop with your bike and go through every nut and bolt and write down what size the spanner or I don't care, whatever it is you need, because people rely on everybody else to have a toolkit, and you get to a race, you've got a Chris King hub and they've got a profile, and suddenly you need to change your sprocket and you haven't got the tool for it. So it's a really good idea, and if you look after your tools, they last absolutely forever. So it's a good idea to have a toolbox with a small laminated list again, and just list everything you need, because there's a lot of tools, you can guarantee if somebody borrows something and doesn't put it back, if you haven't got a list, you'll never know that hasn't been put back until you go to use it, and then it's too late. Whereas if you've got a checklist, the couple of days before the race, you can just check everything's there, and you might think, oh, the sound key's not there, I remember I lent it to this person, or I left it on the desk, or whatever. It gives you time to sort it out. It's a spare race kit, really important, especially in this country. You never know what the weather's going to be like. It could be sunny in the morning and pour rain in the afternoon. Your gloves could be soaking wet. You don't want to be fine with wet gloves when you can't grip properly. So it's really important. Plus you don't want to be cold in the same race. That's one that's neglected a lot, so we'll put warm clothes. You've raced all day, it's been pouring with rain, you're pretty chilly and you've got nothing else to put on. You need a decent set of warm clothes, a nice jumper, coat, or what have you to make sure you're warm on the journey home. Otherwise, when you train, your immune system kind of breaks down because you've pushed your body. That is the time when you're going to get ill, basically. Yeah, it's the most important time that you need to wrap up warm. Footwear, yeah, good one. Yeah, if you don't be walking around in your clip shoes all day, wearing them out. So you come to your final, you'll be walking around them all day, and then suddenly you come unclipped. So yeah, really important. Other than Toby and Brandon, somebody else can give me some sort of spare bike parts you take. So we said grips. Somebody shout something out. What else do you take?
Tubes.
Tubes, good one.
Tyres.
Tyres.
Cable.
Cable, good one.
Chain ring.
Chain rings, yeah, really important. What else? Something to do with the chain rings? Chain, yeah, one other.
Chain ring bolts.
Bolts, yeah. They're the main things that it's worth taking. Especially the chain rings, because all different manufacturers, the chain rings are different thicknesses. And even with Renfrew, when the chain rings go bigger, some of them go slightly wider. So if you've just bought one at a shop at a race meet and you go to put your chain ring bolts in, there's a good chance they're either going to bottom out or they're going to snap. Whereas if you've got the chain ring that you've already tried and tested, and a lot of people have different length chains with different chain rings, you just put them in a bag together, and rather than keep messing about with your chain, you say, if I'm going to have a 43, I'll put this chain on. If I'm going to have a 42, I'm going to put that one on. It just again alleviates any sort of problems. Yes, Brandon?
Bike cloths and oil.
Cloths, yeah. Pump. Cool. So that's pretty much got the equipment covered. Obviously, if you can afford it, if you've got them, spare set of wheels is a good idea. And licence. Okay, there's going to be lots of various things that one of you will take that another one wouldn't. There's another one here that's quite, or is very important to some people. Can you think about something you may need that somebody else wouldn't? Medication. So if you've got asthma, if you're on antibiotics for something or other, it's very important. If that's on your list, there's a lot less chance of forgetting. But I highly recommend, as athletes, that you go home, find yourself a nice sheet of A4 paper and write yourself a list, and over the next few weeks, check it off, or even do one laminated to start with, and then make a note of more stuff you want to add to it.
Can I add two things to that list?
Of course you can.
Waterproofs.
Yeah.
Umbrella.
So, what I'd like you guys to do is actually go home and do yourself a list. Again, like I said, it seems petty and it seems, oh, it's got nothing to do with me on the track, but it will help you absolutely loads, and it will make sure that you start doing it rather than your carers doing it for you, which is going to make you better athletes. So today we're going to go over the track in a minute. We're going to have a bit of a warm up. We're going to work on various parts of the track, but we'll do sort of 5–10 minutes on each bit so you get familiar with the track. Then everything's going to be working in groups. In this afternoon we're going to have a few mock races, and we're going to talk about preparation and warming up and stuff like that. So just hang on 2 seconds while we get packed up. We'll all walk back over, get our bikes, and we'll head over to the track. We'll do pedal wheelies later. What's it? Yeah. Look at street though. Is it just your chain almost goes in? Last and last one, nowhere near flat out yet. Just try and angle everything you possibly can. We said fingers on brakes, we look where you want to land the front wheels. Okay, this next lap, I want you guys to ET as much as you can. That doesn't mean you've got to jump all the doubles. You can literally do it on the face of a jump. But every time there's a lip, I want you to do a little bunny hop, spin the pedals around the full revolution, and land again. Just all be sitting down on the gates. to do it diagonally, just get behind the first bird. Good, keep pushing forward, well done, Dave. Down here just to get our heads in the right frame of mind. We'll head over to the flat area, we'll put some cones out. First of all, if you put all your effort really, really hard into a jerky first movement, as well as probably wheel spinning, what will happen is your body will just come flying forward like this and there'll be no weight over your second pedal. So if you can come forward smoothly but keep accelerating, driving your head and shoulders in front of you, then your weight is over your second pedal and it's going to be a lot easier to get that round than if you just stamp down and your body will come forward like this. So imagine there's a car broken down on top of that hill. If you went like that, it's probably not going to move down the hill at all, you just hurt your arm. Whereas if you push and then sped up your push, it's going to start rolling down the hill, and that's what you need to do out the gate. It's all about smooth acceleration. Right, let's jump up on the gate. We're only going to 50%, but what should we do around the first corner? Yeah, inside pedal up and the race line. So important. We practice jumps, practice manuals, do lots of gates. Who actually practices going round a corner like they would do in a race? Go round the corners like you're racing. Feet in the right position, elbows and head in the right position as well.
Riders ready, watch the gate. Watch the gate.
Yeah, that's really good, Brandon. Great space there. Good. Make sure you don't hyper extend your back, so you actually go that way with your back. Make sure it's just straight and not overstretched. That's good. So what I'd like you to think about, Harvey, is straightening this knee. That's it. So your hips go backwards. So you're making that's better. Great. Nice big space there. Good. Miles better. Well done. Okay. This is good. You just need to take everything back a bit. So lean back with a touch. Yeah, that's good. What I want you girls to be working on now is the speed you're going to have out the corners, listening girls. I want you to work on the speed you've got coming out the corners, because you're all very conscious of where the other rider is, but you're not actually driving the bike through the corner and coming out as fast as you can, so you're attacking the second straight. So let's really pedal in, push the bike around the corner, look where you want it to go, and pedal all the way up to the next jump.
Watch the gate.
You need to think about what you're doing rather than being headless chicken. If you know you're very good at this second straight, better than the guy that's in front of you, why risk cutting underneath him in the corner? Why don't you think, let's do the corner faster than him and just overtake? Make sure you come out of the corner so you're not behind, just outsmooth them. Makes it a lot easier, so then you can actually race the track rather than worrying about that person. So let's see you really be thinking about what you're going to do. Whether you're manually pumping, jumping, whatever you're doing, driving the bike through the jump, so you're making the most of the takeoff, you're pushing forward with your bodies, so when you're laying in this position, if you're jumping, you're ready to drive down the back of the jump. Okay?
Oh, that's it. Recover, Toby. Good boy.
We could make it easy for you and make you roll in and say go here, but there's going to be times in the race when you're going to come unclip, so let's get used to doing it under pressure. Let's get used to clipping in as fast as we can. Like we were saying to the girls, you want to look at a point there, and every single one of you wants to think, I want to get there first, I deserve to get there first, I've trained hard, nobody's going to beat me to that point. If you're already thinking, who am I going to tuck in behind, I'm in gate 8, I'm in gate 1, I'm in whatever, your race is over. So wherever position you are, think about getting to that corner. You can, when you get there, if you're not there, you can then think about what's plan B. If you haven't got it in your mind to start with, you're never going to come out and get to there in the first place. You're all going to have 3 motos. Okay, your race starts, the gate will drop for the first race. The boys are going to go first, the girls will be in the second moto. It is exactly 25 to 2. At exactly 10 to 2, the gate will drop for your first moto. You'll then have 10 minutes rest between that and the next moto, then another 10 minutes up to the 3rd moto. What you do is completely up to you. You can ask us coaches questions or for advice or help if you want. If you know what you're doing, get on with it. But it's completely up to you what you do to get ready for this race. Okay? Off we go. Okay, so this is when I told you were going to start riding. These are minutes, by the way. 20 minutes, that's when your first race was. What is your heart rate here when you're coming out the gate? Low or high? So when you're going down that first straight, is your heart rate really low or really high? Is your body being used a lot or a little bit? A lot. Yeah, we're expecting the maximum of you, and this is what's hard about BMX. It's a sprint. We expect you to go from 0 to flat out as quickly and as instantly as you can, which is why warm-ups are so important, because you're a lot more likely to get an injury doing a sport like this in a cross-country or road race or something else, when although you go hard, you don't often go flat out, like mega flat out, right from the very start. So if at this point, when we'd all just had our lunch, I said, now you've got to go and warm up, your heart rate's really low and your body's actually probably quite cold. We've been sitting for sort of 30 minutes, and then 20 minutes later, it's kind of, so imagine this is like a bit of a graph, and your heart rate, I'm just going to completely guess this, say your heart rate was 60 here, and then when you're racing, you're going around the track, it's 140, this is just, don't worry about the numbers too much. What do you think should be done in this time between here and here? Should we be at this point at 60 and go from 60 to 140? What do you reckon, Tom?
Maybe build it up slowly so you're not going straight from 60 to 140, but sort of do something not too vigorous and gentle just to get your heart rate going.
Exactly, that is a total point of it. What you don't want to do is the first 5 or 10 minutes go absolutely flat out. So again, your heart rate comes up to, say, again, just 140, and then you stop and have a drink and sit down for 10 minutes, and it drops right back down to, say, 80 or 90, and then goes right back up again. What you want to do is build yourself up slowly so you're really warm and really ready at the time when your race is about to start at this point. And this is the same thing between races. So what did most of you do? Somebody put a hand up to me what they did between races. Toby. Yeah, so you kept your legs spinning, so you kept your heart rate at a sensible pace, and you kept the blood circulating around your legs. Now I know you didn't all have high seat posts, so I didn't expect you to have a high seat post, so you haven't got one with you, but a lot of you guys came and sat down. So what's happened is your heart has pumped blood all the way around your body to help your muscles, and it's something you stop. It's not great if you've got to race again, and it's definitely, if you're racing nationals and you finished your final on Saturday, you then go and sit down instantly. When you go and try and ride again on Sunday, everything's going to be stiff because you haven't given yourself proper time to cool down. So the tricky thing is between those races, when they're quite close together, you can't keep your heart rate and your body going at that race speed, but you can keep it at a sensible pace. So it'd be a lot better to finish your race while you're absolutely like at your maximum, roll around for a couple of minutes, just gently, slowly let your heart rate go down a little bit, have a sip of drink, stand around, stretch, do whatever you need to do for a couple of minutes, then just roll about a little bit more, then maybe have another drink, you just try and keep yourself fresh and ready to go again. The worst thing you can do is just sit down for another 9 or 10 minutes, ready to go again. We've all ridden the track all morning, so you should be pretty familiar with the track. But there should be one thing that's in all your minds, and it should be in your mind wherever you're training or wherever you're racing. What should you work on the track? Obviously you need to cover everything. What do you need to cover the most on the track? Lines definitely. Corners, like I was saying earlier, corners don't get done anywhere near enough. You should spend as much time practicing corner lines as you do jumping and manualing gates. There's something else as well, and it's not actually a jump or a manual or a gate. There's something in particular that you should work on.
It's like being efficient around safety.
Yeah, they're definitely about being efficient and carrying enough speed through. But something even more. Any ideas? Yeah, that's really important. Alright, let's do that bit first. So, if to get to the first corner first, what do you need? A good.
Go.
Nobody asked to do a gate. We were there, we could have put the gate up for you. So although we didn't say ask us for a gate, start thinking a little bit outside the box, because say like a big European race, you could end up following everybody else because you think they're going, because racing's starting or whatever. You do what you feel's right, and if you feel that you need to do a gate, then you should have asked one of us to practice your gates, because gates are so important. If you get to that first corner first, you've got a really good chance. But the point I was trying to get to is work on your weaknesses. So if this morning you found that you couldn't hold your line around that first corner, or you kept bonking jump over here, or your gates weren't quite right, you should have spent that time working on those weaknesses to get you ready for when we was going to have the race. Brandon was right, we've done the whole track, so you should have it pretty sus. So if you did the first straight today, of 4 out of 5 times you got it right, there's a pretty good chance you're going to get it right in the race, so then go and work on something else. Also, make sure you don't then go and do the third straight from up on the top of the berm and hit it at 26 miles an hour, when in a race you're only going to hit it at 23 or 24, because that's completely defeating the object. You need to do it at the speed you're going to do in a race. So we had 20 minutes to go. I saw Toby started off nice and slowly on the bottom, just rolling around, then he started doing some sprints again at 50-60%, bring his heart rate up. What as well, so if you trained really hard this morning, you sat down and had your lunch, you've got to warm your body up. What else have we got to warm up? Bear upwards.
CNS.
You've got to warm your brains up, especially after lunch, but even more importantly in the mornings when you just got out of the car. You've got to, BMX is so quick and so instant, you've only got to be like 100 of a second out on a jump and bonk it, and you're going to come down really hard. You've got to get your brains back in gear. And if you just go straight on a track flat out, there's a good chance something's going to go wrong, whereas if you've warmed up, like we did with the gates and stuff earlier, start at 50%, get the body movement right, whether it's a gate, a manual or whatever, and then speed it up, your body will repeat that at a faster speed. Don't just jump on the track and go flat out, because at one point it will go wrong because your mind's not keeping up with your body. So make sure your mind's warmed up as well. One other thing, we practiced earlier, we talked about the first berm, and before lunch we practiced it. Can anybody put a hand up and say in that 20 minutes they actually practiced their line around the first corner? Megan did? Brandon did?
Sort of.
Maybe? Half point for everyone? Luke did it as well? Good. So this is what, I know it feels like us as coaches are patronising you a bit and keep nagging you, but it's these little things we've got to get you being independent, because it's not always going to be a coach standing looking over your shoulders. And we were speaking earlier, himself and Kai, about how lucky you guys are and how we wish we had coaches, because I trained so wrong you wouldn't believe, but I wanted it so bad. I actually trained too much, but there was nobody there to actually say have a day off or don't do this. But try and use the advice that we're giving you, and actually on the way home or whatever, even if you have to write notes, try and take some of it, and when you're doing your next training session, really think about that. A good point from that is, I'm not sure who asked first, but you knew I'd filmed you and you asked to see the footage. Great, it was there and you asked, so that's good thinking, so then you can see what you did right or wrong, and it's things like that that are going to help you become better athletes. What can you take from this? What do you need to do? And that's a great idea. Had I done that race, not sure, let's ask to see the footage, so well done for that. I know you're all tired, but most of you came and sat down. There's only a couple of you that went out there. It would have been good. There were a couple actually that did some laps on the track. If it's your last race of the day and you can get on the track, or say your last practice session of the day, there's nothing wrong with rolling around for a couple of laps, or just coming up and down here, and again, bring that heart rate down nice and gently and slowly. just so the blood's still circulating around your muscles and stuff like that. So all in all, it's a good effort. The actual races themselves, really, really good. It was nice to see people weren't going so high in either of these corners, and what was really nice was to see everybody going all the way to the line. Your last race, Megan, was great. So that was good to see that there was 100% effort. So I was really, really pleased with that. So what we're trying to say is just think a little bit more about what you're doing and how you can be better and what you can take to make yourself a better rider. So what we're going to do now, it's 20 to 3. We've got an hour and 20 minutes. Obviously everybody's quite tired, so we're going to do some fun stuff and some skill stuff, but we're not going to do like great big full laps anymore because people are getting a bit tired. But we're going to work on sort of corner moves, do some relay races and a bit of fun like that. So we'll have a 5-minute break. Did Kyle, Jules or Joe anybody want to add anything to that? We'll cover most of that.
No,
We really covered it, yeah.
Cool, go on Mark.
I've got a question.
Go on.
So, they spent this time between the motos, okay, bringing their heart rate up to a sensible level prior to racing.
Yeah.
What advice can you give to the kids when they're sat on the gate for 20 minutes because someone's been a crash in front and their heart rate's dropped and then they got a race?
Yeah, that's a good point, is to keep moving. It's tricky at a race because you don't get enough information and you don't know whether you're going to be sat there for a minute or 20 minutes. If it's obvious and that, you know, they're getting an ambulance, and as soon as you know they're getting an ambulance in, get your helmet off, step off your gate, step off your bike and go and just walk around. Even you just haven't got to do full lunges, but just keep moving around, do a few little squats. You don't want to go absolutely mad and do loads of flat out star jumps so you're exhausted, but keep that blood circulating and keep warm, even if you just grab hold of the fence and pedal backwards a little bit. And this is the same for your actual warm-up, especially somewhere like the Worlds. How many people did I see at the Worlds get on the gate and roll around the first lap to warm up, roll around the second lap to warm up, and then you get 2 more laps and that's it? You should be so warm. I know it's hard because you have to queue up in the pens, but you should have done 20 minutes on your bike, just slowly warming up. You should have done 3 or 4 sprints. You should have kept moving in the pens. So at least when you get on that gate for that first lap, you can do it 75 or 80%, especially at times at races and tracks when you only get sort of 3 or 4 or 5 warm-up laps. But yeah, if you're on the gate and it's held up or in the pens, just try and keep moving about as much as you possibly can. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing.